Hello, my name is Francois Sekley, and what I'm going to do today is I'm going to show you how to restore the factory default settings in the Birdycam LITE, and I'll show you a little bit about sensor calibration. So right now I have the Birdycam LITE on a stand here, and it is balanced right now, and it's connected to the computer via USB cable. And I'm going to go ahead and run the simple-BGC software here. Perfect. I'm going to go ahead and connect. Perfect. Okay. And the first thing we want to do is we're going to calibrate the main sensor. What I'll do is I'm going to lock off the yaw first. Okay, I want to make sure that's nice and lined up with the handle here. And the sensor is actually in this area here that the camera sits on top of. So you want to make sure that the pitch and the roll are even. I'm going to place this leveler on top here. I'm just going to adjust that until the bubble is perfectly centered. And I'm going to go ahead and lock everything off when that's done. Perfect. Okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure profile number 5 is set. But before we get started, what I am going to do is I'm actually going to go and wipe the board clean. So I'm going to delete the factory default settings. Okay, so that's just deleting itself right now. And I'm going to go into board, and I'm going to go to restore EEPROM from backup file. So now we're going to load in Varavon's default settings into the Birdycam LITE. So I'm going to select the file here. I'm going to click on open. I'm going to click on yes, and we'll just give that a moment to overwrite. Okay, so as that's overwriting, we've got this set up properly. We now have the factory settings in the gimbal once again. And perfect. Now we're going to go into IMU Calibration Helper. We're on Profile 5 here. We're going into Calibration Helper, and you'll see that this is +Z here. So what you want to do is you want to calibrate the accelerometer. So you just go ahead and click on Calibrate. Give that a moment to write to the board. And you also want to calibrate the gyroscope. And you want to make sure that the table is not shaking around when you do that. So I've gone ahead and clicked that. That's done. I'm going to go ahead and write that to the board. Perfect. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to close the software off. I'm going to reopen it. I'm going to double check and make sure that, of course, I'm connected and that I have profile number 5 selected. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to configure the motor. So in order to do this, we actually need to unlock everything. Okay, so we're all unlocked here. And we need to turn the power on to the battery. And then we need to click on Motors On in the program. Okay, that's got itself leveled out here. And if you look over here, there's an option that says Motor Configuration. And we're just going to go ahead and click on Auto for that. And here we go. So what's going to happen is it's going to take about a minute to a minute and a half to configure the motor. While that's going, one thing I do want to mention is that if you look here, I've selected Profile 5, and I've mentioned it twice for a reason, is that you need to write any kind of calibration settings to Profile 5. If you do it to Profiles 1 to 4, things will not be calibrated properly. So that's something that you do want to make a note of here. And another thing is here is that if you have a look, there's an area that says number of poles. So you want to make sure that these all say 22 when the configuration process is finished. So I think we're just about done here. The number in the polls field is probably going to change a little bit here. See, it says 23. So I'm going to go ahead and change those all to 22. 22. Perfect. And once you've changed those numbers, just go ahead and write that to the board. Okay, so I've gone ahead and done that. I'm going to close the program off one more time. I'm going to reopen it. And I'll make sure that I'm connected and that profile 5 is selected. So that's very important. Now, let's get into calibrating the encoders. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into the Encoders tab, and we're going to select the type of encoder. Now, a quick note here is the ones you want to select are these ones here that say DW, but the order is really important. So first you want to select 3, then you want to select 4, and you then want to select number 1. And just below the encoder type, there's another drop-down. You just need to select the first option of each drop-down. It's all the same combination of letters and digits. And what you can then do is go ahead and write that to the board. So one important thing here is when we configured the motors, you can see that the yaw kind of rotated a little bit here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to rotate the stand until I see that the yaw is straight again. Now, there are two options here for the calibration of the encoders. There is Calib L field and Calib offset. So first we're going to do Calib L field. So what you're going to do is you click on this button, and then you essentially have to lift the Birdycam LITE, and you need to turn it on all its axes twice, and these need to be within about 20 degrees. So I'm going to show you how this is done. And make sure that's nice and straight when you place it down. And what's going to happen is some values will pop up here. So let's see how they look. So if you go to the bottom and you look at encoder motor gearing ratio, you can see that these numbers are relatively close to 1. And that's very important. If you go anything above 1.1, then you'll probably want to start that process over again. But it looks like the numbers are quite good here. So what I'm going to do is, now that I've got those numbers set, and you can see that the yaw is straight here, go ahead and click Calib offset. And once you've done that, just go ahead and write that over to the board. Okay, so now we've done the calibration of the main sensor. We have also configured the motors, and we've also calibrated the encoders. So now you write that to profile 5. I'm going to go ahead and close the software off. I'm going to reopen it. I'm then going to select reconnect. I'm then going to select profile 1, and I'm going to click write. Okay. Perfect. So now what happens is I'm going to go ahead and lift the Birdycam, and we're on profile 1 here. And you can see that everything has been restored. And so those are the basic steps to restoring the factory defaults in the Birdycam LITE.